Hello again and welcome to another episode of the TryPod, and this week we shall preview round 23.
Lego!
Lego! We got to give the people...
What do we give them, though?
Give the people what they want. Another episode. How you going, mate?
Yeah, going well, mate. And I thought, it's been a fair few weeks. It's been quite a long time.
It's been a long time. Oh, it's been a long time, man.
It's been a long time since we've answered listener questions.
It has been. We need to go back to our roots.
Sometimes, not always, but sometimes you got to go back to your roots. You know?
True.
This is what I'm trying to argue.
Yeah, exactly. And we did this way back when we had 4 listeners and we had not much material of our own, and we really needed the questions to flow in. But we're going to get back there today because we've had a few people hitting us up with various questions.
Yeah, and there's one particular topic. If you cast your minds back, we only had 4 listeners back in December when we did our underground pod. But we've since posted this segment. It was a polarising segment.
It was our first ever post on the page.
That's it. And what I'm talking about is our engagement odds special, where we discussed the odds of who will get engaged first out of our group.
1D?
I would say, the group 1D, as we call ourselves, One Deception.
Yep.
Friends is a loose term. I wouldn't say group
we're
of friends.
Acquaintances.
Yeah, I think...
We see each other much too often than we would prefer, I think.
That's it. So we're going to break down the engagement odds. I mean, we've had, over the months, we've had a few people say, can we get an update on the odds?
Because things have changed drastically.
Things have...
drastically.
The game has changed.
Yeah.
So I hope people are looking forward to that. But in terms of betting, we're going to get pretty much stuck into the best bets right now.
Absolutely.
We've done pretty well. I mean, over round 21 and 22, after a horror show in round 20, we won another 9 in a row. Well, and that's after winning 10 in a row over rounds 18 and 19.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you look back and you say 2 weeks ago, we went 1 out of 10. But if you look over the span of the last probably 8 to 10 weeks, I think that's been our only losing round in that whole sort of span there. So that's, reiterates once again, it's not the number of bets you put on, but if you put on quality bets every week, you're going to get up.
And we had our most ever best bets last round, 15 best bets, and if you played them all, you made money.
Yep, and that's what we try and do.
That's it. So I mean, we can get into round 23. I mean, maybe just one more thing I want to say about you. You're a hardworking member of the pod.
True.
You're always kind of following who's in, who's out, the form, trying to read the minds of everyone involved. Of course, I'm talking about The Bachelor.
Yep.
You wrote a couple thousand words about The Bachelor on the weekend, just breaking it down for the fans out there.
Yeah, I try and do that. Well, it's the biggest show on TV at the moment,
isn't it? Is that fair to say? It actually might be.
I'd say so.
And, some people out there might be a bit resistant or a bit uninitiated to The Bachelor, but look, people are talking about it at the water cooler at work.
Definitely.
You need to know.
Well, that's the thing, and I mean, that's why we started the pod, because people at work...
Because of The Bachelor.
Well, yes, that as well, yeah, absolutely. But people at work, you're going to be stuck at the water cooler, you're going to be having lunch with them, and they're going to say, oh, what do you reckon, the Roosters Friday night game tonight, and you're going to have jack shit to say. And the exact same thing's going to happen now. You're going to get there, they're going to be like, oh, what do you reckon about Heather? You reckon she's crazy, or you reckon she's a front runner? You're going to sit there with your thumb up your butt, not knowing what to say. But thanks to us now...
could be a vul.
Yeah, it could be a vul. Yeah. Unless you're like Andre the Giant or that that world wrestling, arm wrestling champion with the biggest hands in the world. Wouldn't be fun.
Nah, especially if it was dry.
No.
And I do think Heather's a front runner personally. I don't know as much about the topic as yourself, but I really enjoyed your write-up. I read it a couple of times.
Took me a little while to put together.
My highlights had to be when you referred to Ebrew as the common Maori greeting.
Yes.
And also, what's the name of the bird that's always breaking down into tears?
I think it's Jacinda.
Yeah, she's a real bogan type chick. And you said I think that you think that it gets the attention of the Batchy, but really he's sitting there thinking, fuck my life.
Yeah, he is. He is. And there's always one every year. Like the chick last year that cried when she thought she was allergic to horses and had to quit the day. Guff. But get into it,
what
seriously.
What I like about that is you break it down, you're brutal. And that's exactly what we're going to do for round 23 games.
We try and be honest with you. Should we get started?
Let's do it.
All right, so first up on the Thursday night, remember, We've got the Cowboys hosting the Rabbitohs. This line's sitting at 5.5 to 6 points, and the total sitting at around 40.5 to 42.
It's going to be a massive game. It's going to be an awesome game. You know, pretty sweet that we got Thursday night football back.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure we'll have Thursday night football for the rest of the year.
Yes.
Which is pretty exciting. Now, we've got two teams that I think both are contenders, true contenders, although the Bunnies haven't played their best footy last couple of weeks. But both of these teams are off really disappointing performances.
Correct.
I mean, the Bunnies just gave us, typical of the Bunnies, when we had the Knights plus 14.5 against them, and the Knights scored the first try, the Bunnies were absolutely ruthless.
Clinical.
Tore them to shreds and won 50-6 or 52-6.
Yes.
And then when we needed the Bunnies to just actually show up, they put a 40-cent stamp on the game, mate.
Oh, when they needed that game more than anything else.
Against
I
Manly
mean,
on
they're
Friday
sitting at
night.
the cusp. They're sitting inside the top 4, but on the cusp they were before that game. Cronulla breathing down their necks, and they, shat the bed.
Yeah, they just gave absolutely nothing. It made me think like, oh, is this because they won the comp last year? They don't even care. Like, Glenn Stewart returning to Manly. I was really disappointed with their effort. They've got a far better team on paper than Manly, and they were like the bloke that fell out of the tree. They were just never in it.
Nice.
So
Manly turned up, though. I'll tell you what. They're hitting
you've got to be
straps at the
wary
right time
of that
this
Manly
season.
side. That's fair to say. So look, you've got to be wary of two teams that are off bad performances.
Definitely.
Take nothing away from the Sharkies. The Sharkies were the deserved winners against the Cows. The Cows were a little bit unlucky here and there. Two really long-range kick return tries by the Sharks, including one that was off an attacking bomb that went straight into the Sharkies' arms, Jared Beale's arms, and he went the distance. But, the Cows had their fair share of luck in that game too. The Cows have to be the favourites in any home game. They're
Agreed.
ruthless at Dairy Farmers, so I don't think these odds are too far out of whack. I almost really didn't have a play on the game. Then I thought, the Bunnies, their attack was just so woeful last week.
Correct.
And their total points, because the total's quite low in this game, their total points is sitting at around the 17 mark.
Yeah, around
And
that.
I kind of think, well, they should get more than 17 points. I mean, I think North Queensland is a really awesome attacking side and a very good defensive side, but I think you can score against North Queensland.
Agreed.
If Cronulla can put 24 on against them, I think the Bunnies can get over 2.5 tries. I'm suggesting that could be the best bet. What do you reckon?
I did have a look at that one as well. I saw that team total at around 17, and I thought to myself, if you can get over 2.5 tries, that's much better. Obviously, if they're getting 3 tries, you win your bet. But if they're getting 3 tries, they're not necessarily getting over 17 points. So I think that's a winner for me, and I think. Look, there could be a few points scored in this one, I think. Look, depending on what the score is, early on, I think penalties might not, they might be a bit more reluctant to take the penalties. So I'll take over 2.5 tries rather than the over 17.
Should be a good bet. And I mean, South Sydney's got all the way from last Friday to prepare for this one. I really think they should have some good. Should be able to show us something with their backline.
Something.
They showed us very little last week.
Can I tempt you with South Sydney plus 6?
It's probably the right side. I think they will show up. I wasn't gonna grab it, but look, you think that's the best bet?
I think it's the best bet. And to be perfectly honest with you, I only wrote down 2 today, so I've convinced you of that one. You'll have to turn around and convince me on some others. So
yeah, that's right.
We'll see how we go.
We literally haven't spoken about any of the games tonight, so we may disagree. Should be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, I'm tipping South Sydney in my tipping comp. I said last week I'm tipping the Bulldogs outright, and I'm sure you did the same. So
yep, absolutely.
Let's hope that we can kick off the first game of the round in style again. On the Friday night, we've got the Broncos hosting St George. Now this line's sitting at anywhere from 10.5 up to 12, and the total sitting at 38 to 39.5.
Yeah, and this is a really good spot for Brisbane. That's going to sound funny.
It is.
But Brisbane been awesome all year, been defending, outrageously well, just getting results, finding a way to win week in, week out. St George started the season so well, they were also defending really well. These two teams played a really low-scoring arm wrestle down in St George, and the Dragons got the better of the Bronx there, one of the very few teams to beat.
St George is a bit of a bogey team for the Bronx.
Yes, absolutely.
A little bit like the Raiders are.
Yeah.
But let's turn our eye back, and we looked back at this game or last week at some point, and that line was sitting up as high as 13.5, and we said to ourselves, oh shoot, you got to take that, don't you? But obviously we have to wait to give out plays for the pod, and now that line's dropped slightly. But I'd say at the number 12, in what I think is going to be a fairly low-scoring game, two really good defensive sides, I think that 12 is still too high, and I think that comes down by kickoff.
Look, you're right. So Brisbane is going to be so desperate to win this game at home. They're off the back of 2 losses in a row now, especially where they've had leads in both because they were up 10-0 last week.
Yes.
And they got embarrassed by Manly the week before. They are going to be so determined. Now the Dragons, you got to be very careful taking a Dragons team that's off 2 emphatic victories in a row now. So are they riding a bit too high? But I actually think they've finally got all the troops back on deck. I was worried about Benji Marshall's hamstring injury, but he's been named. Their forward pack is fully healthy.
He has been named, okay,
and even
excellent.
Another key backline player is Edo Nabuli, who's been out for quite a few weeks. He's been named in the 22 jersey, which means I think that they can sneak him back into the team as well. It's just too many points. I think Brisbane will probably find a way to win the game. There's also revenge factor because the Dragons got them earlier this year. But it's basically, we've been saying Brisbane's overvalued all year, and it's been shown the last 2 weeks.
The only stained thing for us is that they lost last week as well. But can we cast our eye back to last week with a bit of betting theory, the winning streak theory, where last week we said if a team's on a hot streak, winning a few in a row, 3, 4, or even more in a row, and then they do have a loss, they often turn around and it's a bit of a letdown the next week because they can't continue that winning streak on. And we saw that exactly the same thing happen to Brisbane last week. They got pummeled by Manly, and then lost a close one to the Dogs. So
exactly, and conversely, we've said that a team that is losing a lot of games in a row and then finally breaks the duck and has a win will often get a bit of energy and a springboard from that win, and that's exactly what's happened with the Dragons. They were in a rut. They've broken through. Now it's a confident football team that absolutely should be there in the top 8 and really has the potential to upset some sides even further.
And I'll tell you what, with the injury of Sean Johnson, that opens it up for a lot of other teams that were on the cusp of the 8. So
really
they'll be
does.
even hungrier now because the Warriors are not making the 8.
So look, we're taking the Dragons plus 12, and if we like the Dragons plus 12, and we do think both these teams are good defensively when healthy, I think we need to look at the Broncos under 26.5.
Yep.
I think that's quite high, a key number with Corey Parker not being the best kicker. For them to get, they're not going to score 27, so for them to get 28, they're going to need to score probably 5 tries.
And historically,
if not 6, because he can't convert, all that well.
Correct, and historically, the Broncos and the Dragons play a lot of low-scoring games, so I'm happy to take that as well. I foresee a grind fest happening here Friday night, so it's going to be a big game out at Suncorp. You're not making your way there this week?
No, it won't be. So with a bit of luck, the Dragons might just get a result. I hate having to keep you against the Broncos, but you've got to think with your head.
The line's too high. The line's too high.
That's it.
And people are still flying, just a touch too high on the Broncos, I think.
That's it.
All right, moving on to
Saturday. We said we don't really love the slate too much this week, but already 4 best bets.
We did say we
in
didn't
the
love the
first
slate
2
an
games.
awful lot. Next up, we got the Tigers hosting the Knights. Now, this line's sitting at 7.5 to 8.5 points, and the total is high 44 to 46.
And I don't understand rugby league anymore. We had the Titans last week. We had them plus 16. We had them to keep the Storm under 6 tries. We had to score more than 12. And they're up 8-0 after half an hour. You're a big favourite to win all 3 of those best bets.
Correct.
And they then conceded 7 of the next 8 tries.
Well, that sums up our season.
And just snuck over the 12 points. But you're right. I feel like that's ridiculous. Compare that to the Knights. They were down 32-0 against an absolute runaway freight train of the Roosters. 70-0 was on the cards. They came back to within
3
10.
tries together.
4.
They
They came back to within 10 with the ball on the Roosters' goal line. And they end up losing the game by 16, which is still a cover depending on what line you got.
Yep.
And the line was right around 16 for that game. So that's why it's important to take
definitely
the best
to
possible
shop
lines.
around.
That's something we always say. That's our mantra. So let's talk about the Knights. They're a bit depleted. Mullen's out for the season. They're not the side that won 3 in a row to start the year. They're not a side that can threaten to make the top 8. But their forward pack is now fully healthy, and there's still a few guys I like in that back line. I like Uwase, I like Gagai, I actually like Jake Mamo, who's come up from the reserve grade, and he's going to be starting at fullback, which I think is a good move this week. They moved Gidley, who I don't know what position Gidley's
Yeah.
meant to play in the NRL. I said to someone on the weekend that he's the perfect number 14.
Yeah.
Because he can slot in anywhere, but he's like kind of a jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this week he'll slot in at 5'8". But Tyrone Roberts is a good player who's been injured a lot this year, and he's healthy. It's actually quite a strong Knights team, and it's a good time to go against the Tigers because they've got not too much to play for. They've had 2 great wins in a row. Tapau's still injured, not injured, suspended for this game. So he's actually probably their second best forward. He's out, but no one's noticed because they've won without him. And if anything, if you're the Tigers, you're going to really lift when you play against a big name side or a finals contender side. But
especially those teams that are out of the running of the 8.
Yeah, I don't think this game means too much to the Tigers. Whereas, let's not forget the Knights have a new coach, Danny Badiris. He wants to get a win, and this is very much.
He's had a tough run so far. He's had some tough teams.
Yeah,
so far.
I mean, good luck to him.
Taken over.
And I really think that they're going to take confidence from the fact that they didn't roll over against the Roosters and they hung tough.
Oh, definitely. That second half showing, they won the second half.
Yeah, which was really incredible performance. That Roosters team on paper, I mean, their salary cap, they're 3 times over the cap.
They have to be. They can be under the cap.
And RTS, I mean, we'll get to him later on. So that's why I would love to take 8.5 with the Knights. Yeah, the West Tigers should be the favourites, but not by that many points.
Agreed.
And let's take the Knights over 2.5 tries, as we've done several times this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way to go. They're not they can score a lot of tries in the wing, and they're not the best converting.
Yep.
So just take them over 2.5 tries.
Yep, and we've done that before, but it's been two tries, but they've been against much better sides. So
yeah, they'll get 3 tries in this game.
Yeah, and the Tigers, they like to throw it around, so hopefully, a few gaps will pop up there.
And the third one I've got for you. Do we like the Tigers under 26.5? Just probably too many points considering the Knights have a full strength forward pack. They're going to get it into an arm wrestle. Or do we like the Tigers under 4.5 tries? They're pretty much the same thing. You can find both out there. So depending on what sites you've got, you can grab either one.
Yep.
Interchangeable if you ask me. What do you reckon? 4.5 tries really,
Yeah, let's take the try line.
Yep.
In a game that doesn't mean an awful lot to either side, they're
if
not
they
going to be wasting time taking
If they score 5 tries, I suppose they could end up with 26 points. But by the same token, they could score 4 tries and, kick a couple penalties and maybe go over. So that's the gamble
Paddy
you take.
Richards ain't the worst kicker in the club.
No, he's actually quite a good kicker.
And also, like I was saying, in a game that doesn't mean an awful lot, you're not taking the pen nil all, are you, really?
No, probably not. They
fair.
probably will throw it around, so...
No, let's do that. Under 4.5 tries, it's too many for me.
We're up to 7. We're up to 7 best bets after 3 games.
No. Penny Panthers hosting the New Zealand Warriors. Line sitting at 8.5 to 9 points, with the total sitting at hovering around 40.
And can I just say, I watched Panthers Eels on Saturday night.
Jeez.
Rather than the Bledisloe. Heard Australia had a good win. Wouldn't know.
It was a great win.
Didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I watched the worst.
Hopefully you got
game.
on the promos. $5.
I did get a couple of the promos. You've got to hit the promos. We'll talk about that a little later. But this was the worst game of rugby league I've ever seen. And I'm not just saying that in a sense of it was low scoring, it wasn't a good game. It was horrendous. They were just dropping the ball. There was nothing in attack from either side. It was 4-all for 75 minutes in that game. It was so bad. Literally, it was kind of I was saying, who wants it less? Who wants it less? Both teams just waiting for their season to end. Up in Darwin, you're taking the game to the people. I think that game would have driven a lot of people to the drink, to be honest.
Well, I didn't watch it, mate, but would you say that... you've regretted doing a lot of things on a Sunday night, but would that be one of the highlights?
Yeah. That's really my most regrettable Saturday night of this year.
You can't get that 2 hours
and
back.
That's saying something.
Oh, no.
So look, I'm not taking this Penrith team that still hasn't got Moylan back. They're going to win this game, but you've got to lay 8.5 points. I'm not laying that with this team.
Are you jumping off the Penrith bandwagon?
Well, the issue is that if they won all the rest of their games this year, they could still make the 8. But now that they couldn't beat the Eels in Darwin, they mathematically maybe, but basically they can't make the 8. Yes. So you just got to be careful at what's going through those players' heads. As I just said, do they care?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And you can say the same about the Warriors. I actually think the Warriors are the sharp side here now. I think
if you were going to lean aside, it'd have to be the
Maybe they'll bounce back, want to show some heart, show they still got something. Ryan Hoffman's back,
Yes.
But this team is just shot without Sean Johnson.
No
he's the heart and soul of that team. So this is a stay away game for me. I don't know, anything could happen.
Definitely.
It could be a great game.
Definitely.
Could be horrendous.
New Zealand could win this game outright.
Yeah, they could.
Who knows?
But by the same token, I wouldn't be surprised if we took the points with New Zealand and then the Panthers rolled by 20.
Oh yeah, sure,
So
exactly.
That's my issue there.
Whenever you can talk yourself into either side, you should stay far, far away.
I'm glad we agree.
That will wrap up like Heathy does in the first 4 of the round.
Funny you say that. So we're going to get into a couple of listener questions now. This is pretty exciting. But first, we better hear from one of our sponsors.
With Ladbrokes Mega Margin, you can win up to $1 million every round of the AFL season. Simply pick the correct margin in 6 nominated games. Plus, cash-out options are available throughout the game. Mega Margin, exclusive to Ladbrokes. Bet better.
Yeah, and I mean, he said AFL there. It's actually available for AFL and NRL. So it's definitely worth $1 on each to win $1 million.
It's not too bad. 6 games, you pick the margin 1 to 4. Did you hear about that guy actually over the weekend? He put a margin bet on all 8 games of the round.
Yeah.
And it was obviously the 1 to 12 margins, you know.
Yep.
And he was 7 from 7, and he did end up cashing out in round 8.
What was it worth to him?
Well, it was only worth $25,000 from a $10 bet.
Sorry, mate.
Well, mate,
Not all millionaires.
Well, you're getting $1 million from $1,
that's
you know,
right.
on Ladbrokes. So, yeah, let's get real. But
You actually just reminded me, speaking of like picking 8 out of 8 games.
Yep.
Of course, 250 likes last week.
Yep.
Put it there, brother.
Congratulations.
That's good stuff.
Who would have thought?
It's humbling. And we put on a promotion ourselves. We actually picked an 8-leg multi every game in the NRL. We said, like this post and you can have the winnings of this bet we're putting down for our fans because we appreciate you guys' help. You know, we appreciate you guys' support and we like to do things for our fans. And so now I'd like to draw the winner of that promotion.
Okay, we've got all the names in a hat here. I'll just shuffle it round.
Yep.
And the winner is Brogan Ryan.
Brogan Ryan, congratulations. Now, Brogan doesn't like many of our posts at all, actually, so
No,
it
he
was
doesn't.
interesting that he did only like the one where he could win money from.
Yeah.
But Brosy, you've actually won.
There's people hungry out there, hungry for money, hungry for other stuff.
He's won the winnings of the multi, and that, unfortunately, because we had the Cowboys in it,
Oh no.
that multi lost. So, look, Brogues, transfer us $1 or give me $1 next time you see me out. I know that, like...
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I don't see Brogues out too much these days, but next time catch up with you, Brogues, just give us $1. That'd be sweet, brother.
Yep,
I appreciate.
No but thanks for entering.
Everyone that
Sweet.
entered.
Yeah.
We'll do more of them in the future, I think.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
We're closing in on 300 likes. So.
Maybe at 300 we'll chuck a $10 multi
Honestly,
on.
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay, look, we've got a question here. So, would you like to do?
Let's
the
hear
honors?
it. Yeah, why not?
Who's this one from?
So, a question here from Dwani from Hamilton, and he says, "All right, please explain how a low-life scummer like SKD, obviously referring to Sean Kennedy-Dowell,
Dumb
Kennedy-Dowell, is allowed to play for the Roosters this weekend after missing 3 games, and the Fafita brothers have to sit out 6. Where is the consistency from the NRL in these sort of bans? This says to me that bashing your missus is not as bad as verbally abusing a referee."
Who was that from again?
Dwani from Hamilton.
Oh, yeah, Dwani used to be actually a really good, big fan of the pod, and he'd often send in questions.
Yep.
I remember when we originally started the pod, he'd be throwing questions at us. Boys, when's the next pod? Boys, talk about this, talk about that. And then when we were starting up, and we were like, "Oh, has anyone got any questions?" I don't know, something happened, and he's kind of became above the pod. And he kind of, sometimes he'll brag that he doesn't even listen to the pod.
That's
you know?
true. Yeah.
So what I thought maybe, do you want to not answer that question and just say we did?
Yeah, that's fine. I'd say we don't answer that, although there was a very wise man that actually, he came down to Brisbane from Emerald, and I asked him that question because he is wise beyond his years, and he said, "Well, you don't know what she did."
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Yeah.
might not have been his fault.
I've got another question here. It's actually from the same Dwani in Hamilton.
Oh no, he's getting into it this week. I like it.
All right, fine. Look, we've got to reward him here.
Yeah, why not?
And actually, I really do want to answer this question because it's been asked a number of times, and I think it's topical. So look, we will answer one of your questions tonight, Dwani. Here we go. He says, "Have Senor Fathead's odds?" And Senor Fathead is a affectionate name he has for
me.
for both.
Which,
don't know why.
Well, which, as we've explained before, I have a large head.
You have a very large head.
We explained it in one of the first pods that I look sort of like a bobblehead. So
Yeah.
anyway, moving on.
Look, it's
Continue.
unfortunate, but
Oh, it is
you
unfortunate.
played
There's a lot more
played
unfortunate
the
things.
hand you
Yeah.
dealt. Yeah, if only
God
everything
gave me
was so
big
large.
things. Yeah, exactly. He gave me some small parts.
That's
so
it.
There we go.
Have Senior Fathead's odds for the first engaged come down in the last couple of weeks? Ken's has certainly been putting the squeeze on. Before I let you respond to that, I'll just explain. Not everyone's going to be kind of initiated with what on earth we're talking about here.
No.
As we said, we've kind of got a group of acquaintances. There's 6 of us,
Losers.
and these were the guys that we first did the pod for. So we were asked this question back in December of last year of what are the odds.
And we know each other quite well. We've known each other for all of us over 10 years.
Yep, and I can say it has absolutely not been a pleasure.
No, not at all.
But we were asked, what are the odds of... it was actually Heathy who asked, what would be the odds that he'll be the first to get engaged? And we actually broke down the odds of the whole group.
Of everyone.
Geez, it was a polarising segment. One
of the best.
And it was, it captured the imagination of the community. People,
Definitely.
Some people hated it, some people were offended, some people were really sensitive about it.
Mm-hmm.
But look, we give
We
the
don't
people,
try and offend people.
No, we give the people
Just
what they want.
spit the honest truth.
Yeah,
that's all.
it. Sometimes you got to spit.
Yeah. True.
So, do you want to respond to that, especially that comment about Ken's putting squeeze on?
Yeah. Look, the thing is, I think more so than anything, the squeeze has been put on by everyone else, and even my awesome mate Noam, good bloke, good friend of the
Great
pod.
bloke.
He's actually studying over in Cyprus at the moment, and we went out for a game of lawn bowls with a few blokes on Sunday. And he came up to me afterwards and he said, "Oh shit, mate! A lot of people are giving you, a bit of flack to get engaged, I said, "Shit, you're right. You are right, mate." Like an outsider sees this, and he obviously sees it as a bit of taunting. But in terms of the odds that have changed,
what we did was we both actually wrote down what we think the odds are of everyone in our group getting engaged. So,
why don't we just run down the whole list?
Yeah,
and then I guess we'll get to that.
I think we should start with the favourite. Right?
We'll start with the favourite. All right. So I think.
Do we have a consensus here?
Do we want to say 1, 2, 3, and then we'll say it?
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Dwayne. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. No, that's
so
fair
tell
enough.
me what you think.
All right. Well, this is what I'm thinking. All right. Obviously, Dwayne, they've moved in together. They've been going out for a fair bit now.
Pink bath mats.
Yeah, pink bath mats, obviously. I think that came up in the initial pod.
Yep.
But look, you look at the rest of the group, we are absolute gimps.
True.
They are living in a unit in Hamilton. That ain't cheap.
That ain't cheap.
And look, all he wants is a little bit of stability in his life. He doesn't like us anymore.
No,
we are
that's
all
clear.
absolute children.
True.
But he has mentioned that he'd like some of his own. So I think, we're getting to about that point, and he's further down the line, a little bit more invested, and obviously we found out why I wasn't the favourite. Me and Ken's have been together for a little bit longer, but here's a runaway favourite for me at $1.30.
Yeah, he says that Ken's is putting the squeeze. Ken's is, of course, your lovely girlfriend of 4 years. 5 years by next March, as Ken's likes to say it.
Yeah, true, that's it.
It's an interesting way of putting it. Basically, she's saying only 4 years as of last March.
We've been together for 3 years
Yeah.
from March 2014.
That's probably the best way to make it clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says that she's been putting the squeeze on. I think that's the pot calling the kettle black a little bit there.
He's trying to deflect the situation a little bit.
Yeah, he's under pressures of his own, I think. I don't want to speculate too much because that can be harmful, but he quit mixed picks. And, I can't help but notice that sometimes the pod gets thrown under the bus a little bit. I said before that we're going to handicap our own group of friends here.
Mm-hmm.
But friends is
It's a list.
I'm being hard, fast and loose with the word friends. Because you know the famous saying, you don't know who your true friends are until you start a pod?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Thomas Edison said that.
Yeah, that's what I've learnt in this whole experience. Nevertheless, we're gonna break it down. I've got him at a favourite. I've got him at $1.90. I can't go $1.30. Okay. I think maybe you're not valuing yourself.
Maybe not.
I'm not sure. But look, I think he's got new priorities in his life right now. He's shuffling things, and things change. People change, people grow up, and that's fair enough. And can I say, Hannah is a lovely girl. So he'd be doing extremely well if he could. Just one more thing. I was speaking to Hannah at an engagement party actually only a couple of weeks ago, and Hannah was worried that we say mean things about her on the pod, which could not be further from the truth. And I said, "What do you mean?"
Shout out, Hannah.
Shout out, Hannah. What do you mean? Like, don't you listen to the pod? And she said, "Well, Mike doesn't let me listen."
Yeah. Right.
And I just want to say, can we start #free Hannah?
Yeah.
Because that's wrong. You can't be, controlling someone like that.
No.
If Hannah wants to listen to the pod, she has every right to, Mike, and it's wrong that you wouldn't let her listen. And I hope that you can hear me now, Hannah, and just want to say that this has got to stop.
Physical abuse is the same as emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Threatening, that kind of thing.
Emotional can be worse.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I wanted to add, we've noticed with our larger group of friends from high school, it seems like one after the other is getting engaged one by one.
Yeah, a lot of weddings to go to.
A lot of weddings to go to, but let me just add
I've been invited to a lot of weddings. What about you?
Bloody oath you have, mate. I've been invited to 0.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to Dobbo and Kendall, please. Alright, but anyway, this is what I was going to say. Dwayne is like me in the fact that he's been invited to a lot of engagements but no weddings. And I'm sure he would love to just be the next one to get engaged and have that wedding and then really stick it to the people that didn't invite him and sort of leave them out, Bit of revenge
He'd be like,
factor.
sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Hashtag.
But look, having said all that about Dwayne, his comment there is dead right, and you actually are under a bit of pressure. It was only Saturday night that Kenz was mentioning she's got baby fever, saying she wants to have her own child by the age of 27, which you tried to flip around to say, she wants a kid by 2027, but that wasn't.
I go inside.
Once again, you're putting things in Kenz's mouth.
I go inside to get a few beers for the blokes, trying to be a good bloke, and I come back out and they're talking about kids and marriage. Sick.
Yeah. So look, you're under pressure. Kenz is obviously mortgaged her life.
I'm not under any sort of pressure
I
from Kenz. Let me say this: I'm more under pressure from you clowns.
Well, you're under pressure from everywhere. It's not just. You're right. It is external sources like Kenz's parents. I mean, Kenz's mum. Shout out to Tammy Sermon.
Yep.
She said it well when she said, "Look, you're not going to buy the cow when you get the milk for free."
True.
And what she's saying there is, maybe Kenz, if you're not getting what you want, stop giving it up.
You know what else she said?
And then we'll see.
Shit or get off the pot.
Shit or get off the pot.
Yep.
And that's, it's not often that people's parents would say something like that.
No,
but,
not at all.
But she's passionate about this subject
Alright,
too.
fair.
So I think I'll put you at $2.75.
I've got myself at $2.60.
Yeah,
there you go. But I'm not outright second.
But you even said yourself that you're going to get engaged within 6 years of dating Kenz, and you're already at 4. So you we know. And the thing is, you want to surprise her, so actually you're going to have to.
But the thing is, let me tell you this much. And we've been talking about this as well, me and Kenz, and I said to her, there's no surprise in getting engaged when everyone else is telling you to and everyone else is, because it's meant to be a surprise, So as long as people are sort of pressuring us to do it, probably not going to.
Yeah, well that's true. You are stubborn like that.
I am.
People tell you or ask you, plead with you to do what makes sense. You will not do it.
No.
Let's move along. Look, kind of the dark horse in this race for me is Westy. I've got Westy third favourite at $4.50 because he's kind of out of sight, out of mind over in Perth, but he's also got a lovely partner in Emily. And
they've been together for the longest out of all of us.
They live together, and I think it's just he could just surprise everyone. He could catch you guys with your pants down.
Plus, he doesn't have to fucking listen to us all the time, nagging him and stuff. He can just do his own thing. I've got him equal second favourite with me at $2.60.
$2.60, geez, that's low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he is the silent killer here. He is the dark horse.
Yeah.
And $2.60 is value for him.
No, it's funny. First I thought it was a 2-horse race, but I mean Westy's that guy that's just a sleeper.
There's a solid top 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we both agree there. Look, who have you got at fourth favourite?
I have a surprise fourth, and they have moved right in from 5,000 to 1 into $3.60.
Oh, no.
From the events of probably the last 2 weeks. Now, my dear friend Jacob here, sitting right next to me, I've instilled him as fourth favourite at $3.60.
Oh, no.
And listen to why. Okay, his brother, Rowan. Congrats, by the way, Rosa. Just moved out of the home, got his own house, had a kid, is engaged, going to get married when? Next year sometime?
Yeah,
all
I
right.
don't know if there's been a date set. But...
What better pressure could there be from within the family? Now, obviously, it's his younger brother that's done all this, and there's just got to be so much internal pressure from, not only yourself, but your parents as well. and you're just surrounded by the whole thing. You're obviously going to go to the wedding. You're going to see the kid grow up. You're going to be uncool Sakob. You're going to see the kid be hanging around it. You probably want kids of your own, and before you know it, bam, you'll be married. It'll be out of the blue. It will be out of the blue.
I don't know if I necessarily agree, and there's quite a big disparity between where you've got me and where I've got myself.
That's fair enough.
And I think you could also argue that what my brother's done is kind of released a pressure valve where actually now the pressure's off me because we've got grandkids in the family, and we've got all the baby fever and weddings, so I can kind of do my own thing and focus on my professional life. But the bigger issue, even we can debate that all night,
because you're going to go to relatives gatherings and stuff, and they're going to say, "Oh, Rowan, what a cute little baby, Jacob."
Yeah, all right. Well,
have a baby.
Let me just, for argument's sake, agree with all those points.
Sure.
That still does not address the elephant in the room. That even doesn't matter how much I want to get married, mate.
True.
There's something kind of major factor that's in my way there. And that's a willing second party.
You know what my dad said?
Oh, no.
It's a German saying, but I'll translate it. Every pot finds its lid.
I have a saying similar, actually. Mine is, even a blind squirrel finds a nut from time to time.
Yeah, true.
And, actually, I did have a really promising free agent meeting not too long ago. Invited
How long
her over
ago was this?
Oh, just a couple of weeks ago. I haven't really told you too much, but
no, you haven't.
I don't have Netflix, but I invited her over for Nesquik and chill.
Oh.
And I thought everything was going to go
clever.
well, but
do they even still make Nesquik?
No, look, I've kind of at this point in time, I'm afraid to tell the fans that I might be in a bit of a Gold Coast Titans with Daly Cherry Evans. I might have had a bit of a 11th hour withdrawal here.
No.
I'm still trying to see if there's any opportunity for final negotiations, but
the tip counts,
Does it?
Yep.
That's good to know. Look, I've got myself at 2,000 to 1, so that's quite a bit of a difference to $3.60. $3.60 isn't value. I think you've hung that far too low.
Other than, but I guess the difference between yourself and Cherry Evans that he had a decent option to fall back on.
I'm not saying I'm Cherry Evans. I'm the Titans.
Oh, you're the Titans.
Yeah,
okay,
I had a chance to sign Cherry Evans.
Yeah, right.
Which would have been a franchise changer.
That's really good.
Yeah, I'll show
Cherry
you.
Evans.
I'll show you a photo later.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Look, my fourth favourite's Heathy.
Okay.
He's just a wild card in all of this. Like, obviously, when we did the pod back in December, Heathy was $1.15 favourite. We had profile pick Gage.
Yeah, he was.
He was absolutely smitten.
Yep.
Look, things have changed in
Things
Heathy's
changed
world,
drastically.
but things can change again.
True.
I was talking to Heathy only a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, he's in Emerald right now, and let me tell you, he's up to his old tricks.
Oh no!
And what do we say is directly correlated to getting married?
Having a baby.
And what's directly correlated to having a baby?
Not wearing a franger.
He does not top up. Look, have you heard the expression, attack is the best form of defence?
Yes.
Heathy applies that to STDs. And, I mean, Heathy, look, from a mate here.
Anyway,
you need to wrap it up.
Speaking of STDs, did I ever tell you my idea for the STD company that I was going to start? But then I found out there was a similar company online already. But get this right. So you got the herb. Let's just imagine you got the herb.
That was one time.
Yeah. You got the herb. You're not going to get rid of it. You're wondering, how the hell can I get a root around here? You can't use Tinder because, you give it to them and that kind of thing. So I said, why not start an online forum where you can match up with your respective STD, and then just give it to each other, so you're not spreading it to someone else.
Why are you
unawares.
talking about this?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was going to be called ST dating.
That's not bad. Don't give out your good business plans on the pod, mate.
Anyway,
there's plenty.
Moving on now.
All right. Look, I've got Brogues at 26 to 1. I found him really hard. Sorry. Where did you have Heathy? What odds do you have?
I've got Heathy as fourth favourite at $4.20.
That's pretty low. That's low.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean low?
That's low odds. Like, not much value there for Heathy. He's currently on a tear.
Nah, but he
doesn't look like settling down anytime soon.
Oh, but he's one of those teams that can just throw it around, do some crazy stuff, and then score a try. The top three entries were fairly solid.
Yeah.
But on any given night, he could be right.
I think it's typical of you. You're not giving out any free money with your odds. No. That's for sure. I'm trying to tempt people into a couple of the long odds, and I've got Broguesy at 26 to 1. Look, really hard to put a price on Broguesy, partly because I haven't seen him for quite a long time, and that's partly because I didn't get invited out to dinner the other night with a few of the boys.
No, neither did I.
Yeah, so hard to say because I would have loved to catch up with him, have a beer, and see what the latest news is. But
If you
don't
ran him
know.
goods, do you think you would have blamed that on race? I blamed it on
race.
race anyway.
Race plays a part
Yep.
in things as much as we don't want to pretend it does. What odds have you got, Brogsy, at?
I got him sitting at $6.20.
Again, low.
Yeah, he's the lowest favourite. He's just flying by the seat of his pants now. But the thing is, he's a bit more careful with his love life than some of the other contestants. So he's the least locked down at the moment, apart from maybe yourself. But doesn't look like settling down anytime soon. He's got buzz. So
Yeah, well,
keeps
that's
him
true.
fairly busy.
Certainly does. We've probably spoken about that for long enough. Let's get into the Roosters-Eels game. Hope that shed some light for some fans out there.
Yeah. And
Hope that answered your question, Twiney.
and maybe in another year or so we can do another update, and maybe there will only be 5 entries.
Yeah,
There might be a winner already.
Very true.
All right, we got the Roosters hosting the Eels. The line sitting at around 20.5 points, and the total sitting at 44.5 to 45. That's the highest opening line of the season.
Man, yes, that is an enormous line, and you automatically feel as though you should take the points. And the Eels aren't terrible. They did actually win on Saturday night. They won that horrendous game, but I think any of the other 14 teams in the NRL would have beaten the Eels or the Panthers on that night.
Great.
So I'm not going to give the Eels too much credit for that. Can they stay within 20? Yeah, they can. This Roosters team almost seems so good that they like to keep it interesting for themselves. So, like, you look at how they were up 22-0 against the Dogs, and then they almost switch off and they're almost toying with their opponents. Let them back in just to get more practice of how to close out a game.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing with the Knights. They were up 32-0, then it was 32-22, and then they closed it out.
Even when they're playing the Dogs and they were up 22-0, they got back to 28-22 down, and there was only about 10 minutes left, or 10, 12 minutes left, and they were still down. They never panic.
No, they they know how good they are.
The bad teams, they start throwing around, throwing loose passes, then they knock on, give the opposition, ball in their 20. But the Roosters, they just ruck it up as normal, get 60 metres in a set, do a good kick, and then, they just never look panicked.
And they've got, just as we've said, they're over the salary cap probably 3 times. They've got absolute studs in their back line, none more so than Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, RTS. Absolutely electric. As we've said, he's like the crazy hot girl that you're dating that you know is going to dump you. She's way too hot for you, but you just try and enjoy it and just hang on for the ride while you can. Look, I can't lay the points, something that we never lay, that many points.
No, absolutely not.
What do we lay? Nothing very often, that's for sure.
Small points.
Yeah, it's lay small points sometimes.
Yeah.
Spit it out. So, look, I don't have a best bet here.
No. Yeah, I cannot look at either one of these sides. Obviously, you look at this line, and that was a similar line to when the Titans played Sydney, and that was a depleted Titans lineup, and they covered the line easily. But then, you look at this Roosters team, and also the fact that the Cows have lost recently, the Broncos have lost a couple on the trot. That minor premiership's still up for grabs now.
Yeah,
it was
100%.
Probably looking a little bit out of reach when the Roosters were 3 games down on the Broncos. But now they're only 1 game down on the Cows and the Bronx, and they're eyeing off that minor premiership. So I think, look, they're going to put it on here, but 20.5 points, you just cannot do that to yourself.
100% agree. Not only that, just a couple more things to piggyback on what you said. Will Hopewadi's out, so potentially Parramatta's best player, best attacking player's out. That doesn't help Parra's chance of keeping it close. And as you said, minor premiership on the line, and a minor premiership means not having to travel to Townsville or Brisbane in the first week of the finals, when you can win that all-important round 1 finals game that gets you the bye and a home prelim. So that is meaningful. It's not just the minor premiership plate that no one cares about as much as the comp. That's how you can help win the comp, is to be hosting that top 4 battle in the first week of the finals. Could I see Sydney winning this game by 40 or 50? I honestly could.
Yeah, no, definitely. All right, next up we got the Raiders hosting Manly. This line's sitting at about 5.5, about 6 points. Total sitting at 44.5.
Manly's been rolling. They've got nothing to lose. They've kind of got maybe the best halves combo in the comp. Not too much else, although Snake, Brett Stewart's been playing well at the back, and everyone's been playing quite well in that team. Now that Tuvi's been kind of told that he won't be needed after the rest of the season, the team has actually galvanised around him. And they're rallying and they're playing good footy. I'll accept that. But the only side you could look to in this game is probably the Raiders. At home, probably a more complete or better team. You might sound funny to say that, but actually the Raiders are a really solid fundamental team across the board, with Blake Austin leading the way in the halves. But they're just not getting enough points for me. I think the experience of Manly is going to win out here. And we've also got the Dream Crusher phenomenon, which is, I spoke about this with Penrith. It's when a team has a huge game that they need to win to keep their season alive, and that's what Monday night was for the Raiders.
Definitely.
That was a game you had to win if you're going to make the top 8, and they lost by 2 points. Now they've got to pick themselves up for this game at home, and they haven't played well at home this year. Yeah, I could see the Raiders losing this game, but I'm not going to take an overrated Manly either. I've got no play on this game.
No, the problem is that Manly's just been playing too good lately, and that's why the line is where it's at. So you cannot possibly take Manly. Everyone's riding far too high on that train at the moment. And the Raiders, yeah, you're right. Absolutely brutal loss on Monday night. By the way, Shillington v Woods. Who wins?
Woods.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Woods is a beast.
Yeah, true. All right, fair enough. I was going to say Shillington, but anyway.
He headbutted him.
Yeah, he grabbed Woods' hair
That
and
was a
sort of
cheap shot.
manoeuvred him
Somehow
around.
he headbutted him. He tried to headbutt
He
him.
missed the
twice.
headbutt. Woods gave him a bit of stick, and then he headbutted him again
Did you
and
see
threw
how
a
many
punch.
weeks he got for it?
Yeah, I think he got 4.
He got none. He put an early guilty plea in.
Oh.
And Shillington's playing this weekend.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
I haven't read that yet, actually.
So that keeps the Raiders in this game too. But no best bet from us.
No, that's absolutely right. Yeah, I'm staying far away from this game. The Bulldogs hosting the Titans. The line sitting at 14.5 points. The total sitting at 43.5 to 44.
It's quite a high line, but the Doggies are ruthless.
Yes.
We were all over them last week. They're a really good team. They've finally got most of the troops on board. Not everyone yet, because Reynolds is currently injured. But when you can sub in Mbai, then that's a pretty good replacement. He's a good player too. That forward pack is enormous. They just bludgeon teams. They bludgeon their face in. The Titans were just useless on Sunday. To be up 8-0 and to just absolutely fall apart. They're just heartless.
That has happened to us numerous times this season.
I feel like that Titans, they should be ashamed of themselves. There's just no heart in that team. I'm not taking a 10-man side like the Titans there. So I feel like the line's probably about right. I've got no best bet on this game either.
No, you're right. The line looks about right. 14.5 points. You could easily see the Dogs winning this by 16 to 20 points, but at the same time, there's not a chance in hell that we're laying 14.5, so it's a stay away. The last game of the round, Monday night, the Sharkies, who are red hot. This is essentially a pick'em game. You can find the Sharkies slight favourites, 1 to 1.5 points, and the total sitting at a low 37.5.
Yeah, the Sharkies keep finding a way to win.
Yes.
Deserved winners over the Cows. That was a massive win for them. I did not see that coming.
Cows were coming late.
Yeah, that's right. They held on. They know how to win in these gritty grind matches. That was without Luke Lewis and the Fafita brothers.
Yep.
Of course, the Fafita brothers are still out, but Lewis is back. That's going to bolster them.
Definitely.
They've won a few games, but I don't think they're going to hang their hat on that. I think they're going to keep needing to win.
They want a top 4
They're
spot.
hunting a top 4 spot.
Yep.
If you look at the odds, they are $1.90 to make the top 4. Actually, the Bunnies, who are a win ahead of the Sharks, are out over $3 to make the 4. That's because the Bunnies have a
brutal
murderous row of opponents to end the season.
Well, the Bunnies, the Roosters, the Broncos, the Cowboys, they all somehow intertwined and played each other in the last few rounds.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that is a brutal slate.
So Cronulla, this is the kind of game, if you want to make the top 4, you've got to be able to win. Melbourne isn't the best side in the comp anymore. Just not a very talented forward pack, but they do well with what they've got. Cooper Cronk still has to be respected. Well coached, well drilled side. Could absolutely win this game too. They're trying to cement their spot in the top 8. They played well on Sunday against the Titans. So I think it really will be a coin flip game. I think the obvious choice would be to take Cronulla, and we took Cronulla plus 10 against Melbourne 20 weeks ago, and the Storm actually rolled by 20. But you can now you can see 20 weeks later what we were thinking then. We knew that Cronulla was a genuine top 6 type of side, and Melbourne may not be. So look, I think Cronulla edge to Cronulla, but that's what the odds show. So I've got
exactly.
No best bet.
I agree with you, and I'd written down here that the line looks pretty much right. Cronulla should be slight favourites here, but the problem is that they've just been rolling, and the media's been hyping them up like crazy, so there's absolutely no value on Cronulla, even though that's the only side that I could look to. I think Cronulla probably wins this one, but shoot, yeah, you're not going to lay 1.5 points. But I'll tip them for the win.
That's it. So we still ended up with 7 best bets. All of them were in the first 3 games of the round. So how about I wrap it up?
Will we have 7 in one round like we did once before?
It's been done before. We've won 7 in a row, we've won 10 in a row, we've won 9 in a row, guys.
Yep.
So just get on board. Look, we're going to take the Rabbits over 2.5 tries against the Cows.
I like that one a lot.
That back line really needs to put something. Show me something. We're going to take the Rabbits +6 because they are a genuine title contender. They're still the champs. I didn't mention that Glenn Stewart's out. That was one of the reasons that I didn't pick that as the best bet. But look, they're deep enough to survive without him. At least let's hope they are.
Yep.
+6, it's a key number. We're taking the Dragons +12. It's another key number. Should be just probably too many points for what should be a close game. And for the same reason, we're taking Broncos under 26.5. We're going to take the Knights +8.5. I'd be on upset alert there. I think the Knights sprinkle a little bit on the straight up price there.
Yeah,
I think they can win. You can get over $3 for the Knights to win, and no one's going to be thinking of the Knights this week. But that's the week that they'll surprise.
Yeah, and they showed something in the second half last week.
Exactly. For the same reason, we're taking the Tigers under 4.5 tries. I think the Knights really desperate to get a win on the board, and they're going to come out with a purpose. And let's take the Knights over 2.5 tries. Again, really putting some faith in the Knights this year.
Yeah.
I know we've loved the Tigers all year, but now they're starting to get overvalued, and that just shows that, we don't love or hate any team. We just love money.
Yeah, true.
And that's what we're trying to give to the people.
Yeah.
There's 7 best bets.
That'll do it. Yeah. I like this round.
Yeah, so before we go, the merchandise came through. We had a shipment through thanks to Ev Sanity. Cheers to Ev Sanity. Check out his bangers. Check out his Facebook page.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
Yeah, so a few of the fans we've been delivering.
Ken's is stoked on her shirt today. She chucked it in the wash a few days ago. It is dry now and it's looking sharp. And I was going to say, we have sent out, I think, about 10 shirts now. If you find yourself, wearing the TryPod shirt in a, funny situation or a cool scenario or passed out drunk on a bench, send that in to us.
You're at the gym looking swole as fuck.
Happy to post it on the page. Yeah, definitely. Let's
get TryPod t-shirts around the world. We've got fans in Cyprus, we've got fans in Finland, in the UK, in America, in New Zealand.
T-shirt is getting sent over to Finland as we speak.
France.
So yeah.
Yeah. Nettie, look, we might have a prodigy on our hands. Nettie's won. Put your tip where your mouth is again. He didn't need Jason Day to win the golf to win this one. In fact, it's been his listening to the pod that put him onto the Tigers for the upset on Monday night. And can I just say on that, we would have had the Tigers plus the points as a best bet if we knew for sure that Tedesco was playing.
Yes.
We were cautious about it, and with good reason, because Tedesco is one of the very best players in the comp. And of course, we didn't take him. He played, and they won.
Yep.
And that'd be right the week that we don't take him. But we did take Raiders under the try line, so we still profited from that. What else? I mean, guys, if you haven't got a certain betting site that's got the best line or the best price, then look no further than the top of our page. We've got the best sign-up deals for most of the sites out there.
And they're all more than you can get when you just sign up through the regular site. And we've been saying, people have been asking, where do you find these, try lines, team totals, that sort of thing? Because not every site releases the same exact prop bets and all that sort of thing. So you need the multiple sites to be able to sift through, and there are disparities, one side could have, and we've seen it before, they don't update it straight away. One side has +6, the other has, +7.5, so you're just selling yourself a little short if you don't shop around for the best lines.
So not only can you get the best lines, but you can get up to $500 in free bets for signing up. So there's absolutely no downside to having multiple sites. That's our biggest recommendation, one of the best ways.
And let me tell you this much. You deposit $500, get a $500 free bet, and you use that money to bet on our best bets, you'll end up with a lot more than what you put in.
Actually, we haven't set our overall record now, but it's 111 to 56.
That's good.
As we started. If you just started with $100 and just backed the pod and chucked 100 down on every best bet, you're up about $4,500 from $100.
And you would never down.
Never down. Up $4,500 right now, and it's only climbing.
And interest rates are at record lows. You stick your money in the bank. Inflation eats it away.
450% ROI.
Yep.
I mean that's That's insane, really.
It's really,
we have
really
been
good.
putting up insane numbers. Last thing I've got to say, if you're listening to this on YouTube, shame on you. YouTube gives us like $1 per listen. That's chump change. That doesn't get it done. We got mouths to feed.
Yeah, definitely.
We want to go through
big bets to put
Dropbox.
on.
And there's so many reasons to get Dropbox. You can download the pod and listen to it later.
Yes.
We put the Dropbox link up within minutes of recording, so you don't miss any best bets, miss any line moves. YouTube is so slow to upload to.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't get it up for a week.
It's not the first time you haven't got it up for a week.
Won't be the last.
True. And plus, another thing, you're listening to the pod, oh, shoot. Oh, Tigers plus 8.5. Let me quickly scroll through my sites to see what I can bet on. Oh, shit. YouTube, it's one of the biggest video apps in the world, and you still can't do something else while listening to something on YouTube.
Exactly. Like with
Get your shit
Dropbox,
together,
you can
YouTube.
listen and you can scroll through your phone. You can go on Facebook. You can stalk people.
Yep.
You can read emotional quotes on Shibby Rose's page. You
Yep,
can do whatever
true.
you want.
Whatever you like.
So please get the Dropbox app if you haven't already. Value your life up.
Yeah, definitely do that.
And please, most importantly,
Please!
gamble responsibly.